What if everything you believed about money was built on lies, not mistakes, not miscalculations, but deliberate deception, carefully engineered, legally disguised, and socially accepted? For centuries, some of the largest financial collapses in history didn't happen because of war or natural disaster. They happened because powerful people learned how to sell illusion as truth. They created wealth out of nothing, confidence out of lies, and systems so complex that by the time the truth surfaced, it was already too late. Trillions of dollars vanished. Millions of lives were altered. Entire nations were reshaped. And here is the most disturbing part. Many of the same mechanisms that caused those historic collapses still exist today. Under different names, this is not a story about greed alone. It's a story about belief, trust, and how entire societies can be financially hypnotized. Tonight, we uncovered the biggest financial frauds in human history. How they began, how they spread, who paid the price, and why the modern world may be closer to repeating them than we realize. Before modern banking, money was simple. Gold, silver, and tangible goods defined wealth. You could see it, touch it, count it. But as empires expanded, trade increased, and economies grew more complex, physical money became inconvenient. Banks emerged as trusted intermediaries, institutions meant to store wealth, not gamble with it. Over time, trusts replaced transparency. Paper claims replaced physical value. Promises replaced proof. And eventually, belief replaced reality. This shift gave rise to financial innovation, but also opened the door to the greatest deceptions in history. Because once money became abstract, it became money. Take the South Sea Bubble, the first modern financial fraud. In the early 18th century, Britain was drowning in war debt. The solution appeared revolutionary, a company that promised to turn national debt into profit. The South Sea Company was granted a monopoly on trade with South America territories that, in reality, were controlled by Spain and inaccessible to Britain. But facts didn't matter. What mattered was the story. Investors were told of unlimited silver, gold, and exotic trade goods. Politicians promoted it. Royalty invested in it. Even Isaac Newton, one of the greatest minds in history, bought shares. The stock price exploded. People sold homes to invest. Clerks, farmers, and widows rushed in. Stock prices soared over 800% in just a few months. Then, quietly, the insiders began selling. When reality finally caught up, when investors realized the trade routes barely existed, the collapse was instant. Fortunes vanished overnight. Suicides followed. Trust in the financial system shattered. Newton reportedly said, "I can calculate the movement of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." This wasn't just a market crash. It was a lesson the world refused to learn. Almost at the exact same time, France was experiencing its own version of financial madness. A Scottish economist named John Law convinced the French government that paper money could solve the national debt. He created a private bank that printed currency backed not by gold but by confidence. Law then tied this new money to the Mississippi Company, which claimed vast riches in French Louisiana. The promise: endless wealth from untapped lands. The reality: swamps and wilderness. Still, France believed. Money flooded the system. Asset prices exploded. Paris turned into a giant casino. Then the spell broke. When investors tried to exchange their paper money for gold, the bank couldn't pay. The collapse destroyed the French economy, wiped out the middle class, and planted seeds of resentment that would later fuel the French Revolution. This wasn't just a financial failure, it was a catastrophe that reshaped history. Fast forward to the 1920s. America believed it had mastered capitalism. The stock market only went up. Credit was easy. Margin trading allowed everyday people to buy stocks with borrowed money. Banks encouraged it. Newspapers celebrated it. Politicians praised it. Very few understood the danger. The entire system was built on leverage borrowing money to buy assets whose prices depended on even more borrowing. When confidence cracked in 1929, the illusion collapsed. Banks failed. Savings vanished. Unemployment soared above 25%. But here's the hidden truth. The Great Depression wasn't just a market crash. It was a systemic failure of unchecked speculation, regulatory blindness, and blind faith in endless growth. The consequences were devastating and reshaped global finance forever. Now, let's jump to the modern era, to the late 1990s. Enron was celebrated as the smartest company in America. Its executives were hailed as visionaries. Its stock price soared. Wall Street analysts praised its innovative accounting methods. But behind the scenes, Enron was a house of cards. It was hiding massive losses through incredibly complex financial structures designed specifically to deceive investors. The profits were fake. The debts were hidden off the books. Top executives were quietly selling their own shares while publicly encouraging their employees to buy more. When the truth finally emerged in 2001, the collapse was swift and brutal. It erased $74 billion in shareholder value and destroyed the lives and savings of thousands of employees. Enron wasn't a failure of capitalism, it was a catastrophic failure of oversight, ethics, and basic accountability. If there is a modern symbol of systemic financial fraud, it is the 2008 global financial crisis. Banks created complex financial products called mortgage-backed securities, bundling thousands of risky home loans together and selling them as safe, top-tier investments. Credit rating agencies gave these toxic assets top ratings. Why? Because everyone was making money. Loans were issued to people who couldn't possibly afford them. Those bad loans were then repackaged, resold, and insured multiple times over, spreading the risk throughout the entire global financial system. When homeowners inevitably started to default, the entire fragile structure came crashing down. Trillions of dollars in wealth evaporated. Millions lost their homes and jobs. The banks were bailed out with taxpayer money, but very few executives ever faced any real consequences. The system survived, but the trust in it has never fully recovered. So, where are we today? Are we doing it all over again? We have massive government debt, complex derivatives traded in shadow banking systems, wild speculation in crypto, and high-speed algorithmic trading run by artificial intelligence. Once again, complexity is hiding risk. Once again, profits are privatized while losses are socialized. And once again, the average person is told everything is under control. History suggests we should be skeptical. The greatest frauds never begin with obvious criminal intent. They begin with the powerful belief that this time is different. Across centuries, every major financial collapse shares the same blueprint. First, a new idea comes along that promises easy wealth. Early success creates trust and FOMO, fear of missing out. Warnings from skeptics are ignored or silenced. The risk becomes invisible because everyone is winning. Soon, the system grows too large to fail. And then, reality intervenes. The bubble bursts, and the public pays the price. The technology changes, the names on the door change, but human psychology does not. The greatest financial frauds in history were not just crimes of greed. They were failures of skepticism. They thrived because people wanted to believe, because questioning success feels uncomfortable, and because optimism always sells better than truth. Understanding these stories isn't about being cynical or fearful. It's about being aware. It's about knowing that financial systems fail when trust replaces transparency, and that complexity often hides risk instead of reducing it. Every generation faces its own version of the same grand financial illusion, because the most dangerous lie is always the one that sounds the most reasonable. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the systems that shape our world.